and good day again. Welcome back to this channel, 8 Tango Yankee 3. The signal is clear. For today's topic, one that's quite hot in today's maritime industry sector. It is the draft proposal of the Magna Carta for seafarers. So come on and join me. Let's get down to this. So let's begin by first defining the word Magna Carta, or the compound word Magna Carta. Where did it actually come from? Well, based on the encyclopedia meaning, Magna Carta Libertatum, or that's the real whole name. It is the Great Charter of Freedom. It's an old English word which defines what is the structure of the freedom that is due to all subjects under the crown before. So there you go. And then through the years they have used it to define certain groups of rights and liberties and requirements that are stipulated for particular activities. For this one, it is the Magna Carta for seafarers. So let's look into this Magna Carta now, which is shown up there. So looking now at Senate Draft Bill 822, shortened to be called as the Magna Carta for Seafarers. The draft bill consists of 19 chapters as shown. You have from chapter 1 to 19, you have the Declaration of Policy, General Provisions, the Seafarers' Rights. This one has a subset of 17 sections. So if you will look at it closely, it expounds the rights of each individual seafarer, okay, both on land and sea, provided that they're active seafarers. Then you have women in the maritime industry, the seafarers' duties, minimum requirements for seafarers, terms and conditions of employment, accommodations, recreation, facilities, food and catering in ships. Okay, you have medical care and occupational safety and health standards. You have determination of employment. Then you have settlement of disputes, repatriation, reintegration of overseas Filipino seafarers, provisions applicable to domestic seafarers, manning levels and compliance and enforcements of ships of Philippine registry. Then you have the shipboard training of cadets, incentives and awards granted to the maritime industry, role of government agencies, and last you have the final provisions. These embody the draft Magna Carta, which has gone through several hearings already, both in the lower house and in the Senate, to determine if this indeed is a bill that can be enacted into a Republic Act. Okay? If it ever becomes an RA, then it becomes the law of the land. So it is very important and critical that the seafarers, be covered by a unanimous, Magna Carta of rights that protect both the seafarers on land and ashore. And now, moving on to our second chapter for discussion in this short video. Let's go now to chapter 8. Accommodations, recreation facilities, food and catering in ships. Okay, this applies to all the ships that are constructed on or before MLC of 2006. That's practically all now. Okay, if your ship is before that, it must have been retrofitted, okay, for compliance. This holds true especially for vessels that need to accommodate a greater number of seafarers. Okay? And the original design is less than that. So in order for the ship to be certified as compliant to MLC at the same time compliant to the Magna Carta, then it has to undergo certain retrofittings. But most of these are geared towards the Philippine ships registered in the Philippines. Okay, there are some cases wherein there has to be an exemption. You cannot simply accommodate as per standard of MLC and the Seafarers Magna Carta these kinds of rights. So they have to request the government for exemptions. Most of these exemptions are rooted on these fast craft passenger ships that ply from island to island that have very little accommodations because number one, it is a day trip activity, business activity, and then in the evening they all shut down. Okay, so makes no sense in having it retrofitted to be able to comply with the requirements under MLC, but at the same time suffer a significant loss in revenue because you had to retrofit just to accommodate certain number of seafarers. Because, like I said earlier, these kinds of vessels do not operate in the periods of darkness. Okay, so they're only day trippers. So these kinds of vessels can apply for exemptions. Okay, so that's about chapter 3 and chapter 8 for this video. So now, will this draft bill, if it is enacted into law, affect and impact our seafarers? Both yes and no, because yes, there's already an existing charter that is called the Maritime Labor Convention, which the Philippines is signatory. So there are a lot of rights of the seafarers there that are also here in the proposed bill. Okay, there are some that are particularly Philippine-based, especially for women and cadets. Okay, but basically, this Magna Carta is a bill that is being sponsored will focus mainly on the rights of the Filipino seafarer. Impact, yes, it has a lot of impact, mostly positive. Okay, now if you will read the bill in its essence, it is geared towards trying just to protect the Filipino seafarers because for the longest time this industry has been known to have a great neglect effect on seafarers, especially for rogue ship operators who just leave their seafarers alone, who sell the ship left and right, and then there is nothing left for the seafarer but to be repatriated on their own expense. And these things cannot happen and should not happen anymore. More so now with the ratification of MLC plus this incoming draft bill, it will try to minimize, if not outrightly remove these kinds of incidents. Okay? So, my take is the SB 822 is a good House bill and it's worthy of it passing through Congress and getting enacted into law. Okay, who will handle it? That's for another stage in the life of this House bill. But if ever we're going to choose whether or not to support this or not, I would go with the support of this bill. After all, There is nothing better than to protect our seafarers wherever they are and whatever they do, because they deserve just as much rights as each and every individual Filipino who are doing gainful employment. So that is my take. And that concludes our show for today. I hope you've enjoyed this video short and hope too that it was informative and very educational for all of you there. So like everything else, don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel, and until we meet again, have a safe journey wherever you are. Bon voyage and goodbye for now.